That might be a good thing I could remember. I'm always calling him Wes, and his name is Webb, you know. And Spider-Man. Okay, steering and suspension test 7 tires. First question is a true-false. We've got 6 true-false questions. Tires act as a part of a vehicle suspension system. True. Is that true or is that false?
True.
Okay, that's actually true. Okay, radial tires tend to squirm when the vehicle is driven. That's false. They don't do that. They do bite the pavement a lot better. And I remember when I was, you know, young and teenage dumb and all this kind of stuff, and I would put on the rejects from my LTD. I would put on the back of my gray Volkswagen Bug. I had a 58 Volkswagen Bug, and I had a bunch of different Volkswagen Bugs. But it was all hot rodded up and everything. And I would turn in up there at that one road where it was big and flat. There was nobody in there. And when I had those plain old bias ply tires that weren't radials, I could just turn in there and just break it into a spin, and I could just spin around and around and around and around. And then when I got to where I didn't want to spin anymore, I could go back the other way. You know, I was just horsing around like you do when you're 16 and you're stupid. But of course, there wasn't any way I could hit anybody because there was no traffic out there. It was just a big wide place, you know. But so I actually made the transition to some radial tires, and I went pulling in there one day. And this is, I remember this is back in the 70s, not long after radials came out. I mean, there were still a lot of bias ply tires on the road in them days. And I turned in on that doggone Volkswagen, and I was going to do that, and it stuck to the road like glue. It really surprised me. You know, it didn't spin around and around like I wanted it to, you know. But the ones I put on there were the rejects. I worked at a gas station, so I could just swap tires around any kind of way I wanted to. You know, we had a tire machine over there. But anyway, yeah. Well, see, nowadays these people go out here on these tracks and they drift. You know, they do this drifting stuff and all that kind of stuff. Well, we did our drifting on dirt road curves and all that kind of stuff. You know, but anyway,
people still do that, Rich.
Handbrake turns and everything else. A lower profile tire has got a shorter section height, which results in more responsive tire that reacts faster during turns, and that is true.
Really?
Mm-hmm. A lower profile tire has a shorter section height. Yeah. Now, see, you saw the. I put a little on the end of that file cabinet over there. There's a little poster I put there that I printed that shows you about the section. You know, the section height, and P205, 50 or 15 or whatever it is. You can look and actually tell what all that means. And we've gone over it in class anyway, so we don't need to beat a dead horse. Okay, you may rotate directional tires from front to rear or rear to front, but each tire must remain on the same side of the vehicle.
Wow.
That's actually true. Wow. Directional tires are like tractor tires. If you ever put you see where I'm going? Yeah, you know the ones that's got the tread looks like this, and it's not. It's like, most tires have got. A lot of tires have got tread. If you look at the tire, it's got tread this way on one side, and it's got it that way on the other side. And on those, it doesn't matter. But if you see some of these tires that are directional, the tread looks like this. And they'll actually have an arrow on the side of the tire telling you which way they're supposed to go. If you got tires like that and you put them on the other side of the car, particularly on the traction wheels, they won't dig in right. They'll spin and they won't give you stability on the road and all that.
Okay, let me get this straight now. Run that past me one more time.
The directional tires, like on some of your hot rod cars, I mean, they're fancy, like these,
They have V's on.
They actually, the tread looks like that. If you look at it.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter on that one. On the other one, where it's got lines running this way on one side and that way on the other side, you can swap them around.
Okay.
But on the ones that have the treads is pointing in one direction, you know how tractor cleats are? Mm-hmm. It's the same way. And if anybody that's ever put a tractor tire on the on backwards, gets so frustrated because that thing will spin down in just a flash. It'll bite and go if you got the tractor tires on the right side, but you can swap them around and all that thing will do when you try to pull something, just spin and spin and spin until it spins itself down. It's annoying as all get out, Plus they put water in tractor tires to make them heavier, it's where they'll bite better. But anyway, a tire with a tread wear rating of 300 will probably wear faster than one with a tread wear rating of 140. Typically, the higher the number and the higher the letter in the alphabet on whatever classification you're looking at, the better it is, or the more durable, more whatever. Do you know why it is that if you go to Walmart, like if you take one of these Saline Mustangs or something, and you go to Walmart, and your budget does not really call for wanting to put the high dollar super duper tires on there, and you tell Walmart, well, I want this tire here They will not put tires on that car that are not rated for the speed that that car will go. Saline Mustang is like a 140 mile an hour car, and if they put tires on there that are rated for like 100 miles an hour, and you go faster than that, they'll come all to pieces. You know, sling them apart. Their centrifugal force will tear them all up. And so that's why if you go to Walmart, they're going to make darn sure they're going to put the tires on there that you need for the car that you're driving. That makes sense, don't it? I mean, if you're smart and you're Walmart and everybody wants to sue you anyway, you're going to make doggone sure you have 3 guys check the oil drain plug after every oil change and everything else, you know.
Yeah, they did something to one of my, that plug goes in my oil pan, and they had to take my truck and keep it, and I think they had to replace that oil pan on there.
Yeah, they probably sent it to us. Yeah. Well, I had a couple of guys out here, we were changing oil on one the other day, a couple of high school guys, and they took the drain plug out with an impact wrench, and when I got my fingers unwrapped from around their jugular, you know, I said, don't ever put an impact wrench on the doggone oil drain plug, you know, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And something else that's kind of funny too is people don't recognize a lot of the times these young guys, these muscled up football player boys that come from these high schools, they don't know that a hit's worth more than a pull. And they'll put a wrench on something and they'll be pulling, they'll have veins bulging in their face and all that kind of stuff, and they can't move it. I say, hey, watch this, and you hit on there, you just hit it with your hand, just breaks right. You know, let inertia work for you. You know, you don't have to muscle everything. You got to be smart enough to know, but you know, use the laws of physics. But yeah, your 5 is false. So you must tighten the fasteners on any wheel by removing counterclockwise around the wheel from fastener to fastener. That's false. That's hogwash. Now, I will say that, how many of you guys have ever seen wheels that, lug nuts that were left-hand thread? On what?
It was on 911 Porsche, old school one.
Yeah, well, on the Chryslers that they made back in the late 60s and some of the early 70s, they had left-hand thread on one side of the car. On the lug nuts. On some of them old Chryslers, on one side. So if you're ever working on something that's an old Chrysler, like a 69 Fury 3 or something, or any kind of old Chrysler, and it seems like the lug nuts on one side of the car are just real tight, I'm not even sure I remember which side is which. I think the ones on the left side were right-hand thread, and ones on the right-hand were left-hand thread, if I remember that. But I dealt with that stuff when I was working at that gas station. But anyway, and some people would bust off lug nuts. Now, occasionally, you'll see one where somebody has over-torqued the lug nuts on it, and it will actually distort the threads, and the lug nut will get galled to the stud, and you will absolutely have to twist that darn thing off to make it work. You know what I mean? To get it off there, and then you have to replace the lug stud. Have you guys replaced the lug stud? You know how to do that? You knock it out of there. It's got little splines on it, and then you take a nut and a lug nut with some flat washers and put it on there backwards, and you pull it in place. Not really that hard. In some cases, though, you got to pull the hub off the car. It's a pain when you have to do that. But that's something you guys need to know how to do, because it's something you're probably going to do routinely if you get out here and work with tires and wheels very much. Tires having plies that run bead to bead parallel to each other with stabilizer belts under the tread are called C, radial tires. You've seen that. Number 8. The blank tire provides better handling and improves high-speed stability and fuel economy. The blank tire. What's the blank? Yo.
As you heard it when I pulled it in, that's the athletic car, check engine lights on.
Running bad?
Terrible. So I tried to bend its ears a little bit to get it to cough.
Yeah.
And that old engine light just started flashing like crazy.
Yeah, it was misfiring and all that.
And it's like you've got, it's catching some breath trying to pass. It ain't doing nothing.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Also, the wiper. If you turn on the wipers, they just park wherever they want to. We have to put a wiper motor on it too. I told Tim about that the other day when I inspected it.
There it is.
All right. Okay. Let's see. The blank tire. That's 8. The which tire is it? Provides better handling and improves. That's not. Yeah, that's a C. That's maybe a radial. Number 9. The measurement from the top of the tread on one side of the tire to the top of the tread on the opposite side is the what?
Diameter section, right?
Well, no, think about what you're saying. Diameter is
height,
no, it has to be the diameter. That's all it can be.
B.
No, that's all it can be. It's actually A. It's A. But if I had a tire, listen to this. Now, everybody in here, listen up. And some of you guys are probably going to snag this really quick. But if I had a tire that was 10 feet in diameter, I mean not in diameter, 10 feet in circumference, you know, like if, in other words, it was 10 feet from, you know, point to point.
We're doing algebra?
Yeah. No, this is simpler than that. 10 feet, 10 feet. Everybody listen. All right, it's 10 feet. Okay, how many times is that tire going to roll in a mile?
How many feet are in a
How
mile?
many feet is a mile?
Okay, so how many times is that tire going to roll in a mile?
528.
There you go. That ain't complicated, is it? Okay, how many yards in a mile?
1,700.
Yeah, 1,760. How many feet in a yard?
36.
No, 3. That's feet, not inches.
Oh,
That's funny. How many meters in a kilometer?
1,000, you said.
There you go. That's all there is to it. All right.
Kilo means 1,000.
Huh?
Kilo is 1,000.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Okay, now let's move on. We're saying crazy stuff. Okay. Let me see. The measurement across the tire's widest point is what?
Tread width.
No, that's the section width.
With,
That's the section width. A 245 60R15 tire has a section width of what?
60 millimeters.
245 millimeters. It's a 60% exit. I mean, ratio.
70.
Yeah.
just said.
Yeah. To balance tires, most technicians prefer to use what?
Dynamic balancing?
What do you think? Everybody like that?
No.
What did y'all use today to balance that tire over there? Okay, listen to this. Everybody that hasn't, and this is going to sound like, you know, monkey stuff, but everybody that has that, most of you guys know how to use that tire balance machine over, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's really easy to get in the mindset of if you've done it once, you don't need to do it again. But every time you get a chance, you ought to be balancing some tires. You know what I mean? I mean, you just really should, because it's so easy to forget that, and you need to be able to produce really quick and all that. So, I mean, make sure you do that. Okay, now, it's actually going to be a dynamic balancer. Now, you know what a bubble balancer is?
Probably something like with a bubble on it.
Yeah, I've actually, that's what we used to use. That's what we used to use at a gas station was a bubble balancer. It was a tripod shaped little thing that had a little platform on it with a bubble in the middle that had a circle. And when you put the tire on it, if it went off to one side, you'd actually lay a weight, keep laying weights on the opposite side until the bubble came to the middle, and then you'd tap it on there. Yeah, and that's what you did. Then you flip it over, do the same thing on the other side. And I mean, they work okay, but it wasn't. Now they also got this thing called a road force balancer. They're supposed to have this wheel that goes against the tire and causes the tire, whenever it's spinning it, you know, to actually be loaded. You know, like it's actually sitting on the ground or something. You've seen those before? That's a road force balancer. But you go to the places where they have road force balancers, at least around here, people don't use the road force function. They just go ahead and balance them the normal way. You know, but ain't really a big deal. But think about this now, when you're pulling a lot of times they'll tell you in these books and all that kind of thing, and when you're pulling even the tires off, you know, it's always a good idea, if you're a real stickler for accuracy, to put them back on like they were. Most people don't pay no mind to that. We just put them back on there any kind of way, you know. All right, do you guys have matching questions?
Yeah.
You do have matching questions? Let's go into the matching questions. Okay, I don't always put matching questions out there, but this time I did apparently, because I noticed everybody was sitting there like a lump on a log. Usually you hit the door with the shirt tail flapping whenever, you know, the questions were over. Wheel measurement from the inside bead seat wall to the opposite bead seat wall is what? Is that rim width? Yeah, there you go. Distance from a wheel's mounting surface to the rear edge of the wheel rim. What is that? That's wheel backspacing. Yeah. Okay, the location of a wheel's center line is viewed from the front relative to the location of the mounting face of the wheel hub. That's a big, long bunch of words, isn't it? What do you think it is? All right, let's say that again. Location of a wheel's center line as viewed from the front relative to the location of the mounting face of the wheel hub. That's actually D. That's wheel offset. Now that's what you know how when you move that little thing out there and you put it against the You know, whenever you're using your little caliper to measure the width of the rim, you know where you put that? On the little bead areas? Okay, that same area, when you move that little gauge out on that machine, and you touch that for a second until it says, okay, you're measuring the offset. That's an important thing the machine needs to know. Whenever you know, when you're pulling that thing out and you touch that little, there's a little gauge you pull out and you touch touch the wheel. That's actually the thing that
And that's measuring wheel offset.
did Spider-Man show you that?
Yes.
Okay. All right then. All right. Let me see. 16 refers to the relationship between a tire section height and section width. That's the aspect ratio, guys. Fairly simple. Imagine yourself having to pass this test before you could get employment, you know. 17 refers to the diameter of the mounting fastener hole pattern in a wheel's center section. Who knows what the name of that is? That's the bolt circle. You know how you measure? You know how you measure this? Like if you've got wheels. I keep talking about getting an eraser for my board. I'm having to use my hand. You know. All right.
What happened to your eraser?
I have no clue where it went. I just came in here one day and I no longer had an eraser. And I think somebody took it home to use on their little bulletin board on the refrigerator. Where'd you find it?
No.
What are you pointing at?
Drawer on that desk.
All right, watch this. I've got a 5-lug wheel. All right. And somebody's wanting to know what the, what size is that? Because they're not all the same.
Yeah,
You know what I
would
mean?
like them to be.
Huh?
I would like them to be because
I
I
know,
got a
but-
couple neighbors I don't want to steal their wheels.
Yeah, well, the inside of it, you know, the hole in the middle could be a different size too. But how are you gonna measure that and come up with something accurate that they can use? What, like from here to here?
Yeah.
Actually, no. You're gonna go from the center of that one to the center of that one, and you're gonna measure what that distance is. And then if let's say that's 5.5 or whatever, 5.5 inches, you're gonna say it's 5.5 on 5. Which is 5 lugs and 5.5 inches at the widest place. That's how you measure that. Can you remember that?
No.
Can you remember that? Well, basically, you're just going to take your tape measure and you're going to measure it and see what it is.
Okay.
There's all kinds of.
You got one measure.
You're measuring the the holes in the wheel. You know, you take the wheel and you're going to measure from the center of this hole to the center of that one, any of them, as long as it's not the one next to it. See, and then you're going to say however the distance from there to there. And basically, you'd say, like if it was 5 inches, or let's say it was 4, or let's say it was 6 inches. 6 on 5 is how you'd say that, and that's actually 5 lugs with 6 inches in between the widest. That's how you do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when you're talking to somebody, they need to know. If you just happen to be talking to somebody, they need to, well, I need to know what your pattern is, and that's how you're going to talk about what the pattern is.
So it would be 6x5, like if it was written like a lug pattern, it'd be like 6 inches x5.
Yeah. Possibly. I don't know if I've ever seen it that way. Every time I've ever done it, it was all spoken by mouth, and we say so and so own 5. I mean, they just say own, not buy. You know.
You know, like I'm looking at wheels on Craigslist, and like I'm trying to figure out, like mine's supposed to be like.
Yeah, that one may be saying X5 on Craigslist. Yeah. I mean, is how you saw it?
Yeah, like it was like 6x5.
Yeah.
Like for any
Yeah,
vehicle.
5. Yeah, and when you were looking at it, you were saying, what the heck are they talking about? You know?
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Okay, now you get it. So, I mean, like I said, I'm telling you the truth. I hadn't seen it in print before, but I've always, when I talk to somebody on the phone or whatever, they want to know what the pattern was, and I'd say, 6 on 5 or whatever. And that's really interesting how I had never seen that in print. I don't get that. All right, now then, as much reading as I've done. All right, now then, we got number 18. Was that where we're at? Mm-hmm. Measurement of the compressed air in a tire.
Inflation pressure.
Well, now, look here. That's G. Okay. Wheel measurement from a point on the inside bead seat to the point on the inside bead seat directly across the diameter of the wheel.
Rim diameter.
That's F. Rim diameter. And finally, turning or twisting force producing torsion and rotation around an axis. That's C. That's torque. Let's do that. Okay.